All right, guys, the day has arrived. You've been watching. You want to see the final results, and here we go. So I originally stuck these cuttings that we did in our new frame somewhere around the middle of July. It is now the end of September, so we've been 2.5 months since we stuck those cuttings. And let me tell you, they're doing great. They actually started rooting probably a month and a half ago, maybe even longer, but they started getting some good roots about a month and a half ago, and now I just kind of left them in there. I watered them through the summer and just let them put on tons of good solid roots, and I want to show you what we've got there now. Alright guys, so we've got our frame here. We took our cuttings in the middle of July. It's now the end of September. This thing's been rocking and rolling all summer long. Before we move forward, I want to show you a couple things here real quick. So this little dowel right here, a piece of a dowel, it could be anything, could be a stick, could be a dowel, could be a pencil. I slipped this under the glass almost immediately after I started these cuttings, after I took them way back in July. And I have left that there the entire time. Why? To get a little bit more airflow. And the reason was, after I stuck all these guys, when I showed you that last video, I had the glass down completely on the wood and the humidity built up great. Even though we've got the gap in the lumber here for a little bit of airflow, it wasn't quite enough. So as with anything in plant propagation, you got to adjust as you go. So it was a long, hot summer. I mean, a really hot summer, and the ambient air was 100 degrees around here. So that's what was going on inside this thing. So I slipped this little dowel, like I said, just a little dowel, it could be anything, under here to let the heat out, to let a little bit more airflow in. And despite having done that, it still maintained the humidity. And as you can see, I hope you guys can see that, there's humidity built up all under this thing, and I've had all this airflow all this time. So the one thing I hope you get out of this is, with plant propagation, you got to watch things in the beginning till you get your system set up and you know exactly how it works and you know what to expect year after year. You got to watch it a little bit in the beginning and see if you need to make any adjustments to it. Well, in this case, obviously, I had to make a little adjustment and it worked out perfectly. So after all this time, let's finally take a look at what we've got in here. Alright, so I've got some rubber gloves on before we dive into this, just because this bark can actually cause a lot of slivers, so I'm just protecting myself. But let's take this little glass lid off here, and you can see all these cuttings in here look absolutely beautiful. Let's do a little close-up of them. So there they all are, and you know, of course this is English Laurel, and this stuff roots pretty well. It's not a real tough plant to root, and you can see I don't think I've lost one single cutting in there. This stuff is really fun to root because you get such great results, and you know, we're going to have a ton of plants throughout here to pot up next spring. But let's go ahead and see if I can loosen one of these guys up and just pull it out for you. Let's see here. Boy, these guys are rooted well. I don't know how far we're going to get with this. Let's just do it. Let's go for it. Look at that, guys. Look at that. I'm going to pull this guy out completely. Look at that cutting. Isn't that beautiful? All those roots. I love this little setup. You just get tons of really awesome roots in there, and every single one of these guys is rooted like that. I'm going to kind of pack this down. I think I'm going to go pot that guy up instead of trying to rearrange him in this little area here. But you can see how well this frame is working here. So now that these guys are fully rooted, I went and got a little chunk of wood, and I'm just going to put a couple pieces of it underneath the glass here, just to kind of prop it up a little bit more. We don't need the humidity anymore. We're going into winter. I'm going to take that back board off here so that the sunlight can get in even more, because like I said, we're going into winter. These things are going to go dormant in here and it's not heating up anymore, so we can actually take that off. Just let more light get in there. These guys will root a little bit more going into the fall because we're still, you know, somewhat warm enough temperatures to form some roots. And then next spring we'll come back out. Actually, it'll be late winter. We'll come back out. We'll pull all these guys up once those roots have hardened off in there and become really strong, and we will pot all these guys up at that time. So there you go, guys, a beautiful little propagation frame that will work absolute wonders for you. So go out, get some lumber, get you a piece of glass or plastic to put over it, and just set it up like we did, and you guys will be able to propagate just about any softwood cutting that you want to propagate. The beauty of it is it's not a sealed system, so you can water more often, you can let some air flow in there. It's just way less touchy than those totes. So I highly recommend this system. I hope you guys really enjoyed this little series. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more gardening videos like this. Have an awesome week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios. All right, I did it. I couldn't help myself. I went and I rinsed it off. I have to see what these roots look like. Let's take a look, guys. Look at this. Isn't that neat? I just love looking at all these roots, man, on these plants. Look at that. Tons and tons of little roots coming out of that guy. I just love that that's even possible. Just tons of roots. And you can do it over and over again. That's the beauty of this. You take one plant, and you multiply it over and over and over and over again, and you end up with an entire landscape, and you spent almost nothing on it. And people will wonder, how in the world, this guy must be a millionaire. And he's not. He just keeps propagating plants. But there it is. Isn't that cool? I just love those roots, guys. I love seeing those roots.